On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Control's a funny thing, and herd mentality is also a funny thing. Another thing you've probably heard of a lot lately is this concept of awakening, this concept of red pilling, whatever. Now, how do all these things come together? It's kind of fascinating how it plays. Now, one, the way manipulation is used is kind of through these means of this herd mentality, right? You try to basically get everybody to believe the same thing, and then if anyone comes out of line, the people attack those individuals. Then that way, as an organization, you don't have to worry about the fray. Well, the problem is a lot of people are starting to wake up. And one of the things that happens when you wake up is you start to realize the media has lied to you. You start to realize that some of the science reports that you've seen on certain things have a lot of contradicting evidence, or didn't maybe get the right scientists on board, or a whole bunch of other scientists disagree. Like the science isn't settled like they like to tell us. Again, there's this constant push. So as we wake up, we start to question all of these things. And what this does is this causes a huge problem for the herd. Because we, at that point, either A, have the strength to stand out in front and just basically call people out for what they're doing. There's definitely some people doing that. And I will say, for the most part, these people have a lot of rocks thrown at them. It's much like the rioters, the police, and the riot. They've got their little guards up and whatnot. It's a very tough place to be. But again, it is what it is. And then there's a huge number of people that are starting to wake up and don't necessarily talk about how they feel outwardly to others, because ultimately you're going to come across somebody that's on the left and they're going to attack you. And that's kind of how it works. They're part of that herd. And you know what? They're scared. It's weird for them. They don't understand why people have red pilled. They don't understand what that means because they haven't woken up yet. They don't understand or have the strength to step away from the herd. That scares them. So again, this is something they're not comfortable with. So all they know how to do is attack. That's what they've been taught. That's what they've been taught over and over. You tattle, you tell on people, right? You tell on someone in school if they're not doing what they're supposed to. You try to get society to enforce itself. Problem is, they're losing that battle. And that's what Q and this whole movement has been a big help for. And that's why the media is attacking us so strongly. Now, one thing that's really cool is Barr has just recently came out with some interesting news. This ties into post 4441. And there's a 9-minute version of this video, which is amazing. Barr does an awesome interview, and he's just very straightforward, and I love it. I mean, I really love the way he talks. I'm going to drop both those links, but the short one that we're going to cover really gets into one of the things that most of the Anons are complaining about, and that's that things aren't happening fast enough. Why don't you just go out and arrest them already? I sometimes wonder if those are the LARPs that always say that, because you see that in a lot of the comments if you dig into some of the keyboard stuff. But the fact of the matter is it can only happen as quick as it can. It's got to happen legally. I mean, again, if you were the one that got accused of doing something to somebody and you weren't guilty, wouldn't you want to be able to fight it, or would you want them to be able to railroad you? You want this to be fair. You want this to happen the way it's legally supposed to. You don't want to break rules just to eliminate people that need to be eliminated. I get it. I'm there with you. But I want to do it right, and I want to make sure they can get out. They were in a hurry to impeach Trump. Did it work? No, it didn't. They were in a hurry to impeach him, and it didn't work. Now, could they have if they really lined up their ducks better? Well, they sure had every bit of opportunity, and they had all sorts of different agencies working against him. So, kind of surprised they weren't able to. But again, it's one of those things where the truth lies, people will start to see it. And that's one of the things that's happening with mainstream media. They lie so much, people are starting to realize, dude, you guys lie a lot, and I don't know if I can trust you. So the trust in media right now is extremely low, and oddly, the trust in Congress is also low. Here's Bill Barr's interview. I think it's really cool. I think it's worth the minute 42. We're going to give it a go.
You mentioned the Flynn case. You're in the process of trying to dismiss that charge, the charges, yet the judge, Judge Sullivan, continues on and has now a shadow prosecutor making a case that it should continue.
The argument is that it's always been understood that decisions whether to pursue an individual through the prosecution process or holding them criminally accountable is vested in the executive branch and not the courts. And he is essentially, in our view, trying to set himself up as an alternative prosecutor.
And so, have you seen anything like this before?
I'm not aware of anything like this before, and I think that's why this is not being argued at the appellate stage in the District of Columbia.
I know you can't get into specifics, but the DOJ Inspector General identified this top FBI lawyer who fabricated evidence in order to justify this warrant against Carter Page to spy on him. We know that's a crime, yet there haven't been any charges yet. Is that person still working at the FBI?
No.
And are there charges pending?
Well, we can't discuss, future charges, but I have to say that I do find it a little irritating, the propensity in the American public on all sides of the political spectrum when they see something they think could be a criminal violation, saying, why hasn't this person been indicted yet? Why hasn't this person indicted? Why? And, there's the old saying that the wheels of justice grind slow, and they do grind slow because we have due process and we follow the process. But people should not draw from the fact that no action has been taken yet, that means that people are going to get away with wrongdoing.
So many aspects of this is amazing. One, he talks about, I'm not going to talk about future future indictments. So again, he's hinting that it's coming. He's basically saying, give us a second, give us some time. This is going to happen. And he's like, frankly, if you don't get it, then all right, too bad. But I'm telling you, the reason it's taking so long is because it takes time to get all the stuff in a row, all your ducks in a row, so you can properly get someone busted, so you can get them in jail or actually throw the book at them in some way, shape, or form. Also talking about Judge Sullivan and how Judge Sullivan's now trying to bring in an independent prosecutor, even though the prosecution dropped it. So now this is against, like he said, it's being checked out in the appellate courts in D.C. This has already gone up to the highest level of courts because now we've got a judge that's decided, instead of being an arbiter of the law and making sure both sides follow the rules, now he's actually decided that he's also a prosecutor, which means he's no longer for both sides and for equal, blind justice. Now he's actually focused on one side. That's not okay for a judge. And as William Barr said, he's never seen that before. And the way he made it sound like, I've dug, I haven't found it yet, but I've certainly dug, didn't find anything. Got a great post, 4442. For the first time in American history, the police organizations and national security organizations were used to spy on a campaign, and there was no basis for it. Now, this is the longer interview, and it's very good. And the very last part of this interview is actually that minute 47 or whatever that we just played. This is the full interview. I'll have that link below. It's a great interview. They get into all sorts of aspects, and he's right. He does talk about how the way spying worked was definitely not okay. Now, did he once again reiterate that right now we're not going to go after Obama or Biden? Yeah, he's not. And honestly, right now, that's a bigger fish. We need to get a couple of the ones underneath that netted, and then, because a lot of those people are going to help feed info about what happened higher up. It's the way you've got to play the game. Also, going after a past president once they're out of office, don't think that's ever happened before either. So again, unprecedented in a lot of ways. If we're going to do something that's unprecedented, which, again, the Democrats have been trying to do to the Republicans, and the Republicans are now essentially trying to do it to the deep state, which, a lot of us don't think the deep state's on our side, which I don't think so. But again, you want to make sure you follow the law. We don't want to break the law that benefits us, because then we're no different than the Dems. And that's what they do. They constantly move the goalposts, constantly change the rules, constantly alter what's going on. They say something's wrong a year ago and they make accusations against it. And then a year later, they've completely flip-flopped and now all of a sudden it's okay. And then when you call them out on it, they're like, no, I don't know what you're saying. It's like, really? That's ridiculous. So great article, and it'll really help kind of round out what's going on with William Barr. They bring up Durham. I mean, again, stuff's coming. They've been telling us stuff's coming. Remember, the timing is going to work with the elections and the fact that the deep state right now is desperately trying to get round 2 of the COVID virus to kick off. People are also waking up when it comes to what's happening in the world around this unfortunate situation that happened in Minneapolis. Extremely unfortunate. Now, of course, we've got the Democrats here kneeling, and Carl Higbee kind of points out the fact, when was the last time you ever saw the Democrats actually kneel for a fallen police officer, soldier, firefighter, or a first responder, or anyone that really tends to fall on the conservative side of belief structure, right? When do they ever do that? They don't. They only kneel when it fits their purpose. It's very interesting how they play. Again, post 4444, attempting to establish a new narrative. Riots were creating or created the second wave. Now, I want to talk about it from the standpoint of incubation periods, right? The 31st was when a lot of the riots started in a huge way. So, incubation period of 10 to 14 days, we're sitting right in the middle of that. So the spikes should be happening now. Do we believe them? I don't know. I don't know if I believe the original numbers, frankly, because there's a lot of things that are kind of wishy-washy there, but whatever. The Patriots know what's going on. The left's going to look at this and go, see, and they're going to try to push the voting thing again. Everyone knows it. Vote by mail. Now, one of the main reasons why they want to push the vote by mail is going to be actually pointed out here in a moment. But there's a primary reason, and it's a good one, and I think you're going to like it, why they're pushing so strong for vote by mail. Now, of course, the obvious. It's easy to fake. True. Yeah, you could totally take advantage of that. But there's something else that's pretty cool. Soon, D&I Ratcliffe has declassified documents related to the Russiagate and ordered them sent to Congress. There's another big release that's expected soon. Again, they talked about that 10 days of darkness, and if you go by weekdays, that would be around today. If you go by actual calendar days, I think we hit that on Wednesday, the 10th day. I believe it was 2 Mondays ago. Yeah. So that being said, we're in a weird time right now. And again, the media has been crazy pushing one side of this. The fact that there were riots literally shut down a lot of places, courts, and a number of things. This COVID's also shut down courts. So again, there's a number of things that they're trying to accomplish by keeping COVID in our lives. And again, we've got a number of politicians, Hillary, for example, that are being requested to show up in court that keep saying, oh, it's not safe if we do. So again, see the benefits, see what they're trying to do. D-class is coming out. They're going to keep feeding us information. They're going to drip, drip, drip it, and things are going to start to work out. But again, that's how this is playing out. You got to understand the one side's fighting and we're pushing, but you can't just run out there, throw handcuffs on people, and throw them in the old paddy wagon. It doesn't work like that. Post 4446, this is the big reason why they're pushing for mail-in ballots. From the NSA, we began the ability for us to defend the presidential elections, not today, not 6 months from now. We began it the day after the midterm elections, from General Paul Nakasone. Find out how we've been working to protect the 2020 presidential election. The DoD is an enduring role in election defense, and they've already done it. So the point is, what happens when you can no longer cheat electronically? When the polling places where voting happens have now been hardened and you can't take advantage of it anymore, what do you do now? We start to run into a small little problem, don't we? So again, they've got to find a way to push for mail-in ballots. Why? Because that's super easy to take advantage of. And yes, it can benefit both sides. I don't want it to benefit either side. I want it hardened. I want a legitimate election. I don't want Republicans taking advantage of it. I don't want Democrats taking advantage of it. I want a legal election, right? Isn't that what's best for all of us? But again, welcome to the D Party con. Now this is interesting. This is Candace Owens. She is really, really hated by the left. Again, herd mentality. A wonderful young lady, a beautiful young lady for that matter, that is awakened and is trying to help her community understand what has happened to us. It's like the rest of us. All of us that have red-pilled, we're trying to get people to understand, look, it's not like you think it is. It's not like they tell you. Come on, wake up, right? You don't know how to get these people out of a dream. This is a great video here from Candace Owens. I don't want to talk much about specifically what's in here. She does it with a lot of words, and it's probably safer that way, but let's check it out. Obviously no music or anything in the background, but Black Lives Matter. This is secure.actblue.com. Donate. Act Blue. Donate to fuel our campaigns. I get down here. Act Blue Charities is a registered charitable organization. It's a democratic organization. Act Blue, shall we take a look? Boom. OpenSecrets.org. Now they're going to show where Act Blue has spent all their money for the 2020 cycle. This is going to probably shock you. One, the amounts of money are staggering. Boom. Bernie Sanders, 186 million. Biden, 119 million. Elizabeth Warren, 93 million. You see the pattern. Pete, Democratic National Committee. Army for America, or I think Amy for America, sorry. Andrew Yang, which poor guy didn't do very well. Look at this. Democratic National Committee. Amy McGrath. Huge amounts of money this group is giving. This is who shows up as the owner of the Black Lives Matter concept. So what Candace Owens is pointing, and I don't know good, bad, I don't know where things fall on this, but I like the fact that they're attempting to change the name. Instead of Black Lives Matter, the movement, they're trying to change it to All Black Lives Matter. And by doing that, they take it away from this Act Blue group. So it's up to you guys how you want to feel about this, but the hashtag All Black Lives Matter is meant to get away from Act Blue, which is definitely a Democratic group, or a group for the Democratic Party. So not necessarily a group that if you're on the right conservative side, patriotic side, whatever, probably not the group you want to support. Maybe look into the All Black Lives Matters for sure. A couple interesting facts that come out in post 4448. So everyone's blaming how Trump has messed everything up. Trump is just not the right person for leadership. Trump's horrible. Nobody should trust Trump, right? So let's see. Joe Biden entered politics in 1969. He's been there 51 years. Chuck Schumer entered politics in 1975. He's been there 45 years. Nancy Pelosi in 1987, 33 years for her. Patrick Leahy, 1966. He's looking at 54 years. Maxine Waters, 47 years. Dianne Feinstein, woohoo, 60 years. 60 years, which I don't know, it must have meant she was 60 when she started because she's like 120 or something, isn't she? Anyway, 60 years. And all these people are blaming this dude that's barely been in office 3 years now. Really? Really? You guys couldn't fix it in your, 400 years or 300 years combined of experience? You guys couldn't fix the problem? Really? And now Biden's running around saying, you need someone like me to make sure you can fix the problem. Really? You've had 51 years, big guy. I don't think you've done much at all. In fact, the problems we're having today are not Trump's fault. These are problems that have been brewing in this country for years and sparked by the left to try to infuriate people to get them to go out and cause damage, which always hurts the cause. Everybody knows that. You want to peacefully protest? Yes, everybody supports that down both sides. Yes, peacefully protest all day long. The second violence starts coming into play, no, you lose the support of, a whole bunch of people minus the left. The left's like, no, it's cool, so long as it's a benefit for us, but if you try to be violent towards us, oh, no, that's not okay. Again, they moved the goalposts, they changed the rules, not cool. Another great Black Lives post here. I'm going to play some of this, we'll see. I might play it all, we'll see how.
Weeks ago, you were unable to have a funeral. If your mom, if your dad, if your grandma died, they couldn't have a funeral. And if you did try to have a funeral, you could have been arrested. You fast forward 2 weeks later, you turn on the television and there's a giant funeral, a giant memorial for George Floyd. Celebrities and politicians all there. The same people for the past couple months who were telling you if you were to go into a group of people, you could have died because of COVID-19. And here they sit at this giant funeral. A funeral in which George Floyd probably only knew 1/3 of the people actually there. A funeral in which became political. Al Sharpton was up there saying, we're going to take the White House. George Floyd's funeral became political. 2 to 3 days after that man was murdered, they told you to go vote. A week after that man was murdered, first day of primaries. And what did you do? You went out and voted. Blue, 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 just like the script told you to.
She does such a good job. It's just long, and we're running long on this video as it is, but it's an amazing post, and I'll leave this link below as well, but I love what this young lady is saying, and she's 100% right, and this gives you an idea of how they roll. So right before the primary, coincidentally, I'm sure it's a coincidence. I mean, Occam's razor would suggest that it is, right? But coincidentally, right before the primaries, we happen to have something that's an extremely strong motivator for the left to go out and vote. I don't know. You guys are looking at the same information I am. We're all waking up together, right? Anyway, post 4449, not anonymous, but Twitter, owned and operated, a creation to combat Q, aka you. Good old Jordan Sather. Love to see the fact that this kid doing as well as he is. I remember when he first started his YouTube account, actually, brand new, and the guy's awesome. Love Jordan. I mean, he's controversial. He's a young kid that's just flying, but I love it. But yep, Twitter CEO follows this account, anonymous. You're Anon Central, right? This is the deep state, folks. This is the deep state side of the Q movement. And of course, anonymous, help us liberate the QAnon victims who have fallen for the QAnon or Pizzagate misdirection campaign. Again, it's how they label the Q movement. We're all a bunch of Pizzagate people that talk about pedophiles and people eating children. Now, is there some of that? I don't know. There's all sorts of crazy stories out there, but there's certainly a lot of evil people in our government, Hillary being one of them. And so, again, it's one of those things where it's really easy to throw a label on people. That's what the herd does. And then for any of us that either stand out from the herd or any of us that are starting to wake up and starting to question all this crazy stuff that we're being told, we're the weird ones. We're the wild ones, right? Now, remember, the Vatican used to think the earth was flat. And anybody that said otherwise, or anybody that said the earth wasn't the center of the universe, was in a lot of trouble. Because science was settled. The earth was flat, and we were in the middle of the universe. Science was settled. Again, who are you going to listen to? The herd? Or are you going to start waking up and looking into this yourself and figuring it out for yourself? And that's what we're asking. Post 4450. Do Anons understand what is about to be unleashed? After digging into it, a lot of good stuff in here? No, we don't. I don't think we do. And I think there's a number of Anons that were smart enough to point that out as well. Yeah, I don't think we do know what's about to be unleashed. But it's an exciting post. It indicates a lot of things. I think some of us can speculate, but speculation never necessarily helps. But we've been talking about D-Class. We've been talking about the 10 days of darkness and that almost being over or is officially over. And I do think next week is going to prove to be an exciting week. Bill Barr's kind of teasing that stuff's coming. Durham's wrapping up his stuff. D-Class docs have made it to Congress. Let's see how this plays out. But a lot of things are definitely coming together. And once again, post 4451, welcome to the D-Party Com. This is super cool. And I want to point out one thing that's very interesting. I really want to know who shot this video. This is Al Sharpton. And whoever shot this video is not okay in this dude's eyes. I want you to look at the very end of this video and look at the way he stares at the person filming him. This is a very interesting video. He was not supposed to be shooting this video, is my guess, and I think Sharpton figured it out. Let's check this out. It's pretty cool.
Ain't that some shit?
Hopping into his Learjet.
We're just small town hypocrites.
Look at that. Looking down at him. Do you see that? Looking down at him. You see the whites there? And there's another thing, too, where you can see this. It's like a picture. I tried to zoom in on this. I, for the life of me, I can't zoom in, apparently. I, for the life of me, cannot figure out what that is. It looks like a photo, and I can't tell if that's Floyd. I'm not sure if it's a picture of his wife before he hops on an airplane. No idea what that is, but it's weird. It looks like it's a little photograph that he's carrying in his hands. I don't know what's going on with that, but another strange thing. But that look, that's worth 1,000 words for sure. Whoever the hell's filming this, he's like, get off my stairs or something. I don't know. But it definitely has that look of, what are you doing? And this guy's just stupid in the back. I just fly the plane. So anyway, that's what they're saying. Let's see if there's any new Q posts that came out since I started this. Awesome. 4451 is the final deal. Be aware of what's going on. Be aware that they're trying to control things. You don't necessarily have to yell from the loudest rooftops. You just have to understand what's going on and make sure you vote accordingly. You don't necessarily want to run out in front of everybody that's on the left, the herd, because you're going to get attacked. You don't necessarily have to get attacked. You can be smart about this. Talk to people who have ears to hear and eyes are open. Talk to them. Don't waste your time talking to people that are asleep, that think you're nuts, that think you're chasing pedophiles and people that eat children and whatever crazy stuff. Don't mess with those people yet. They'll wake up in their own time. They're not going to wake up because of you. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when I put out new videos. If you really want to try to help my channel, thumbs up, like the video for sure. That makes a major difference. And if you can actually share it, that's probably one of the most powerful things you can do with the video is share it with other people. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are the best. I love you. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.